Today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the Wisteria Wishes stamp set bundle from the upcoming Stampin' Up. Gosh, I guess it's the 2022 to 2023 annual catalog that is coming out here very soon from Stampin' Up. I just got most of my catalogs today. There was a little UPS oopsie, and they for whatever reason, only delivered some of my catalogs and not all of them. So anyway, hopefully the rest of them will be delivered either later today or on Monday, so I can get them mailed out to everybody. So anyway, this is the card that we're going to be making today. And again, it is just a pretty simple card, which is kind of my style. A little bit of layering, a little bit of die cutting, and that's kind of all there is to it. So, all right. Hey, Karen, thanks for hopping in today. I appreciate you being here. So this is the Wisteria Wishes stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set, and again, it will be available beginning on May 3rd in a bundle, or you can buy it individually as well. Hey, Jeannie, thanks for hopping in. But it is available bundled together with the Wisteria dies, and it's a beautiful set. Love it. Love the sentiments in it. Love the images in it. Love that these can be used as the little kind of hang down wisteria, or you can turn them upside down, and I don't remember what kind of the name of the flower is where they stand up straight, but you can put them on the stems and then stand them up straight. And there's even a sample in your catalog that you will see where they turn these into little Christmas trees and made it a Christmas card. So basically turned it like that and stamped them across the panel, and it's now a Christmas card. So lots of ideas with this one. Love this stamp set, and again, it's photopolymer, so it's easy to stamp with. And hey, Carla and Barbara, thanks so much for joining. So you haven't got any of your catalogs yet? I don't know. Mine came and I wasn't home, and they actually were dumped by the garage. And then I went and started counting. I'm like, wait a minute, some of the boxes aren't here. And of course they weren't. So anyway, but it's all okay. All right, so the die set, these are the Wisteria dies. It's got kind of a grapevine look die with it. This die cuts out the branches. This die cuts out the little wisteria images. This one cuts out the little leaves. And then there are some accessory pieces. So these actually are designed to cut and layered together. So if you wanted to layer them one on top of the other, you can do that with that die. And then there's this pretty die which cuts and embosses leaves, which is beautiful as well. So hi, Colonel, thanks so much for Austria. Yay, glad that you're joining. All right, so those are the stamps and dies. A couple other things that I used. I just crashed into my light. Sorry about that. A couple other things that I used today. I have got the scalloped contours dies, and we're using the second to the largest one with the kind of dotted edge on it. Using that for the background panel on here. Hey, Lisa and Pamela, thanks for joining. And then this is a new set of dies, which I'm excited, yay, that we have some good basic shapes back again. These are the Stylish Shapes dies, and they are they're dotted rather than stitched. So you'll see that, hopefully you can see it a little bit better if I hold the card up and show you the sentiment that I cut with it. Hopefully you can see how it works on the edging. Like I said, they're not stitched, they're more dotted than stitched. But anyway, I love it, love the banners, love that we've got, again, just some good kind of dotted edge, stitched edge, whatever you want to call it, dies back again. So I'm excited about those. And again, these will be available beginning on May 3rd in the annual catalog. If you're a demonstrator, you can actually get them early. And so if you're interested in joining, now is a really fantastic time to join, because you can get all of this great stuff in your starter kit. Well, not all of it, but several good things in your starter kit, and then you can order from the pre-order list as well, so you get your stuff a little early. Hey, thanks for hopping. The set's one you plan to get, and it's a good one, definitely a good one. So speaking of catalogs, just was talking about the new catalog. Our current annual catalog, the Stampin' Up! Current annual catalog, which is the 2021 to 2022, is retiring. So that one ends on May 2nd. Everything that is retiring in that catalog, and there's a big list, it's all available while supplies last, and that includes stamp sets this time around, which is a little different than it was last time, or the last couple times. So the stamp sets are no longer, they're just while supplies last, so make sure you're getting everything ordered. There are a bunch of things that are on sale, so some really good prices as well. So just hop in, grab anything that you're looking at on the last chance sale before it goes away forever on the 2nd of May, or before it sells out. So all right, I think that's all I had to yep about. So, okay, let's get started on the card. So, yeah, I think you do need it, definitely. It's a really pretty set. Okay, so question for y'all. I don't know, this is the new Designer Series paper, the new 2022 to 2024. The dates are going to take me a minute to get used to. Designer Series paper pack. These are what the color family packs are. So it's got the kind of plaid look on one side, and it's polka dots on the opposite side of this. And then this one's got flowers and stripes. And I didn't know if you all have a preference on which one it is that you would like to see me use on here, but we can definitely you can either go stripes or flowers. I don't know if it helps you to look at them up a little closer. Either one I think works. I went back and forth and I was going to just glue one down. I figured I'd just ask y'all which one you liked better. So we've got the flowers and the stripes. So the stripes are a little more muted. Okay, Jeannie says stripes, so we might go with that. Okay, second for stripes from Sarah as well. So I think stripes it will be, unless I get a whole pile of flowers, but I'm getting ready to glue it down. So the card base is Orchid Oasis, and this is the Orchid Oasis Designer Series paper. Oh, got one for flowers, 4 for stripes. I think stripes are going to win it. So, all right. So again, this is Orchid Oasis, and so it's one of the new in colors, and it is beautiful. I don't know if you haven't seen the cards I posted today, which is Friday, on my blog. I just did a real basic simple card and did it in all the new in colors. And you can check out all the new in colors on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I love them all. Actually, from the minute I saw them, I really loved them. So I think they're beautiful colors. I love that they're kind of a tropical look. Blue is one of my very favorite colors. So I'm loving that there's a lot of blue in the in colors as well. All right, so I've glued that. This is a standard card base, which is your 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 card bases. And then I cut the Designer Series paper to fit the entire card front, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And again, all the measurements will be on my blog tomorrow. And I will link up that blog post as soon as it goes live. So no need to worry about making sure that you get all the measurements down exactly. So next up, I did a little bit of die cutting ahead of time. So I have got a piece of basic white that I have cut with the second largest of the Scallop Contours dies, which is this one. And cut that ahead of time, and we're just going to do a little quick stamping, and I almost totally grabbed the way wrong color. I was going to grab Starry Sky, and that would have been a very strange looking piece of greenery. So, all right, so I've got the little greenery, little leafy image, I guess, from the Wisteria Wishes stamp set. And I've got the Parakeet Party, which is the bright green color from the new in colors. Because these ink pads are super juicy, if you have trouble with it, like I do sometimes with a little bit more detailed, I don't know if these are technically distinctive stamps, but they're a little more detailed. Sometimes they get a little globby with ink when you have a newer ink pad. So just take your little sponge dauber, tap it lightly on your ink pad, and then tap it over the image. And that really helps a lot to get rid of the kind of globs of ink that you sometimes get with a little more detailed stamps when you have a new ink pad. Or an ink pad that you've just re-inked or overly inked or whatever it is, because I don't know, I can make a mess with an ink pad in no time. All right, so just doing the little sponge dauber thing over the top of the image here a couple times, and just going to stamp that on the card, or on the basic white cardstock that I have cut here. So then I'm going to set this aside and grab another piece of basic white cardstock and stamp the branch image from the Wisteria Wishes stamp set. Again, we're going to be using Parakeet Party ink. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one where I've got the sponge dauber, and I'm just going to kind of use it and daub, I don't know what the term is, all the way over the top of it. And try not to shake the camera too much as I do it. But it just kind of takes the bubbles off of it, and it evens out the ink a little bit. So I find that I have good luck with it. If I have a little bit more, distinctive type stamps or stamps that have a little more detail on them, when I have a new ink pad, I find that the little sponge dauber trick works great. So give it a try if you have trouble and get globs of ink that you don't really love the way it looks when you stamp with it. All right, let me close up that ink pad before I stick my fingers in the green. Next up, we're going to pull out, this is the little triple wisteria image, and we're going to stamp that in Orchid Oasis, which again is one of the new in colors. That'll be available on May 3rd. Or if you join as a demonstrator, you can get them now. So go ahead and join, because you're going to be sad if you don't get them, don't get the stuff early. So benefits of being a demonstrator. You get 20% discount on anything that you order as a demonstrator at least. You can get a higher discount on it depending on your level with the company. And you also get invited to events. You get to pre-order from catalogs a little extra early. So lots of fun things for being a demonstrator. So let me know if you have questions about that or interested in becoming a demonstrator. I'd love to have you come and join our team. All right, then this is the little individual kind of overlay image, which is a little bit, kind of a little smaller, a little, I don't know, it just adds a little extra detail. And we're going to stamp that also in Orchid Oasis over the top of the 3 previously stamped images. And again, I'm just doing the same thing with a sponge dauber. And just going to line these up. And again, this is not an image that needs to be perfectly stamped. Just kind of get it close. Take your sponge dauber, do your thing, and stamp it over the top. It just adds sort of a little bit of extra dimension. Yes, I know it is the perfect color for wisteria. And like I said, I love all of the colors. And normally I'm not a big just like plain purple fan, but when you put the blue in with it and turn it into what I call blurple, I love that. So, all right, so we've got these images stamped. We're going to take the coordinating wisteria dies and we're going to cut these out. So I'm going to take this die, cut this little thing, and take this die and cut the little branch. So I'm going to be off screen for a second over here at my die cutting machine, and I'll be back in 1 second. Hopefully y'all are having a good Friday. My younger daughter had spring break, what was it, a week ago? Week and a half ago, whatever it was. And my older daughter starts spring break today, so she's pretty excited about that. And of course their schedules didn't match up at all, so no going out of town for us, but it's a beautiful day here in New Jersey. The sun is shining and it poured like crazy yesterday all day. But today we've got a beautiful, beautiful day, so can't complain at all about the weather. Although I heard we're going to get some more rain this weekend, so my husband's grumbling a little bit about that. All right, let's see. Hopefully I got these somewhat straight. They're not perfect, but whoop, I just threw my die cut on the floor. There we go. All right, but that's one bonus of stacking them white on top of white. You can't tell quite as much when you do that. And you'd hear the pieces together, white on top of white. Where you cut it and it's not exactly perfect, like this one is a little bit off, but the image is basically there. It doesn't show up as much. So, have you seen the new kindness cards kit in person? Yes, I have, Jeannie. They're little and they're actually for real like coasters. That's what they feel like. They're cute, but I thought it was going to be cards, and technically they are cards, but they're like coasters. So they're kind of a little more solid and a little thicker, but they're pretty. Like I said, I just was a little surprised when I opened up the box. I'm like, oh, this isn't quite what I was expecting, but they're still nice. So, so I don't know if that helps you to decide. So. No more rain. Oh, you flooded last night? Oh, man. That's, sorry, Karen. I know you guys had trouble last year, too. Goodness. So, yikes. All right, so I'm using glue dots, and I've rolled up a couple of them here on the little stem parts. And I'm going to stick this over the top of the die cut image that I've got here. So I hope we don't get much more rain. And I should probably straighten this out so that I don't end up sticking it on here too crazily crooked. So I want to make it so that the little leaves that I stamped on the background are kind of peeking around the ones that I've got here on the die cut. And then I'm going to take a couple glue dots here and stick down my little wisteria images. And I don't need to put tons and tons of glue on the back of this because they're, you can stick them down pretty well with just a couple glue dots. All right, so. And then I'm going to take the wisteria and I'm going to actually attach it, hopefully, over the top of the little hangy, downy, branchy things. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably some official term for it, but hangy, downy, branchy things will have to work for today. All right, so I have got some of the Orchid Oasis 1/8 inch metallic woven ribbon, and it's really, really pretty and sparkly. I don't know how well you can see it. Hopefully you can see it in the video, but it's real pretty and sparkly. And we're going to add a little bit of that to the card front. And I'm just going to grab some Stampin' Seal. And we're just going to add a little bit over here. And it doesn't matter that you're going to be able to see it around the ribbon because I know that my sentiment is going to cover it. So I'm okay with that. And so it'll all be fine. Don't panic that you can see the Stampin' Seal on it. So just going to add a little bit of ribbon over the top of the Stampin' Seal, sticking it down. I know I had a pair of scissors here. And I totally put them away because, you know, putting them in the bin over on my desk is right where they need to be and not here on the table where I actually need to be able to use them. So, all right, so there we go. We've got that done. Now I'm going to take this and actually I'm going to stick it on the card front while I've got myself here and I'm somewhat paying attention to what I'm doing. Just going to take a couple of my little chopped up half Stampin' dimensionals and put this on the card front. And there we go. In case you're wondering, yes, I am doing Designer Series paper shares. I've done them in the past. And this paper is actually included in my Designer Series paper share. Designer paper shares, if you're not familiar with them, it's actually a good way to get a great working sample of the upcoming papers in a catalog. And like I said, it's just a 6x6 sampling, or you can do 6x12 if you prefer that. Sampling of all the Designer Series papers in an upcoming catalog, and there are tons of them, and they're beautiful in this catalog. And I will be posting that, all the details for that on Monday, so be on the lookout on my blog for the details. While I was yipping about that, I have inked up an image, the sentiment here in Starry Sky, so it's a slightly darker blue image than, so for comparison, Orchid Oasis is this one, and this is Starry Sky, so they're similar. They're kind of in the same color family in my eyes, but one's just definitely a very much darker image than the other. So I've stamped that on basic white cardstock, and I'm going to grab my Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm going to use the third from the smallest. And we're going to cut out the sentiment with that. So I'll be back in 1 second again. And I know, the ribbon scissors, one day, Karen, I'll get myself organized. But that will not be today. Or probably any day soon. So, you should know from watching by now that I never have ribbon scissors handy. So, I'm lucky I have a pair of scissors handy. All right, we're going to run this through the die cutting machine. There we go. Okay, and just using a couple Stampin' dimensionals, I'm going to stick this onto the card front over the top of the ribbon. When I do, whoops, I guess I've used all of the Stampin' dimensionals on that. When I add sentiments over the top of ribbon, that little kind of die cut pieces over the top of ribbon, I generally tend to try to stick the Stampin' dimensionals on the card front rather than on the back of the sentiment, just because then I can make sure that they're not laying over the top of the ribbon, but I know that they'll be covered by the sentiment, so all good with that. All right, let's stick that on. Okay. Almost done with the card front. Next up, I finally got these. They were arrived a little after my initial pre-order did. So there's something that wasn't available immediately, but we can get them now here in the US anyway. So we've got the 2022 to 2024 in color matte decorative dots. And again, these are all the new in colors, and they're kind of that ombre look. So we start with the darker and then go to the lighter. It's not a real severe difference in the color, which I actually kind of like. Makes them a little easier to use in my mind, but you can see I've been playing around and used a few of them already. So I'm going to grab a couple of the Starry Sky little dots here, the matte decorative dots, maybe, and stick it on here. So I'm going to take one of the larger ones and one of the smaller ones and stick them together like that. And I realized in my original card I have them the other way around, the larger ones up higher and the smaller ones down lower, but this will work too. So, all right, so that's it for the card front. On the inside of the card, I also kept it pretty simple and just did a little stamping with the branch image and then the wisteria images. So again, I'm pulling out the Parakeet Party ink. We're going to ink up the image. We're going to take the sponge dauber and tap it over the top of the image to get the ink all evened out so it's not globby in any spot or blobby or whatever you want to call it. All right, I'm going to flip that over and put my ink pad up here so I don't accidentally stick my elbow in it. And then I'm just going to stamp this on the upper left of a piece of basic white cardstock. Again, this is cut to about four by about 5 1/4. So it should fit nicely inside my card base. And then we are going to grab the Orchid Oasis and do the same thing with the Wisteria image. And I keep wanting to call these Orchid because, you know, the Orchid Oasis ink, and I get Orchid in my head, and I probably will make that mistake at some point, probably 100 times. But the little Wisteria images, and do my stamping and the daubing, and going to stamp these, line these up here, and hopefully stamp them in the right places. And then do the same thing again with my little layering piece. I'm going to take that, ink it, use the sponge dauber to kind of tap over the top of it, stamp it over the top of the first image. Same thing the second time. Stamp it over the top of the second image. And again, I love that they don't have to line up perfectly, that it kind of looks a little different because, you know, flowers in nature look a little different as well. All right, so we've got the inside of our card done. I'm going to give this a second because for whatever reason, sometimes the darker purples and blues take a minute to dry. And when I put my fat fingers on them, then I smudge them everywhere. So I'm actually going to be putting the Stampin' Seal on the card base rather than on the card stock, so that I give this a second to dry, and hopefully I won't stick my fingers in it as I'm adhering this to the inside of the card base. All right, hopefully I got it on there straight. And that's it for the inside of the card, so super simple on that as well. Going to close this up and do a quick crease with the bone folder. And that's it. So the card is all done. So I don't know which one you prefer. I kind of lean towards, I love the plaid look, so that's probably the one that I prefer, but I think the stripes are nice too, and I think the flowers would have been good, and there's polka dots on the other side of the plaid, so I think you could really use any of the patterns in this pack of paper to create this kind of a look. So thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. That's all that I have for stamping today. So I will be posting again all the details on my blog tomorrow, and I will share a link directly to that blog post once it's all up and running tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock Eastern time. Be on the lookout on Monday for my designer series paper shares. I'll be announcing those on my blog. So again, it's stampwithamyk.com. So go take a peek at those starting on Monday. And I don't know if anything else. Oh, next week I will plan to be live on my Facebook page around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday. And because it's my older daughter's spring break, we're actually taking a little trip out of town as well, doing a long weekend over Easter. So I will not be here for my Friday live on YouTube, but I'll be back the following week. So let me know if you have any questions about anything. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Happy Easter to anybody who's celebrating next week. And that's all. We'll chat soon.